What's going on YouTube? It's Maffu and welcome back to another YouTube video. If you couldn't tell by my tone, I am a little bit tired and a little bit sad, but we have lost our KvK. Yep, that is right. We have lost our KvK 4 and this is 2 losses in a row for me, but that's not the point. But let's take a look at the map and let me show you what's happened. So as you guys know, these passes have opened up at 4 a.m. in the morning for me, which is 9 UTC in the game, and we were online, we were fighting, we were pushing, and within the first hour, our territory was basically this big, and Earth Camp's territory was around this big. So right off the bat, we were in a bad position, and it only got worse with time. We ended up doing decent in the field and rallies and garrisons against Water Camp. We were burning stuff, they were burning stuff. It was pretty even. I would say Water had a slight advantage, and then when Camp came in, and that's kind of when things started to progress to the worst, and then I think we ended up giving up. Now that does not mean I'm disappointed with this KvK. I really enjoyed this KvK. It was super fun, and we did end up hitting our goal, which was 2 billion KP. I'll show a little more about that later, but let's take a look at this battle flag right here, and boom. As you can see, I am 53rd in the entire KvK for Kingsland, 156 million KP, and that was about 8 hours of fighting. It was a really short Kingsland. I was expecting Kingsland to last much longer, and then we got the mail saying that our king has called off the zone, trying to ceasefire and negotiate rewards. See if we can get anything out of this KvK. I doubt we'll get anything, but people will get maybe a circle or two. I don't even know what the type of rewards you can get from this KvK, even though I've played it a couple times. But moving on, let's talk about the KvK stats that I got and the end of KvK and what everything looks like. Before we look at the resources, which you may have noticed are pretty low, but we have reached 2 billion KP, which is my goal. It was my goal for the KvK. We actually reached 81 million higher than that, which is awesome. Looking at the more info, this is kind of where we're at. 62 million power, 2 billion KP, and 6.3 million dead troops. You might have noticed the resources are very low. We had to enter a bag this KvK, but we actually didn't use everything. This is what the bag looks like. We still have 1.2 billion gold in the bag. Shout out to Halix for a little bit of boost on resources near the end of the KvK. Got me fighting a little bit longer. Unfortunately, we did not use all our resources up, and I don't think we'll use the resources up, as we've been told not to fight anymore at this point in the KvK. Now for speed ups, we're actually doing decent still, but we have dropped down to 825 days, which is more than what I entered the KvK at. I believe I entered KvK at around 600 days, or maybe a little bit higher than that. Maybe I think I entered the KvK around 800 days, maybe a little bit less, but 800 days of speed ups. So we basically, I think we use around 400 to 500 days of speed ups in this whole KvK combined. This whole Kingsland fight, I probably used 200 days, and a couple of those days, or a lot of those days, were from training troops, because I actually took quite a bit of deads. We'll look at that in a second. Let's quickly check out the boost. We're down to 25 army expansions, 6 defense boosts, and 6 attack boosts. I don't know how many defense boosts I started at, but I used a lot. Now let's take a look at my KvK stuff. So for my deads, I hit 1.4 million dead troops. This is the breakdown. Half of it was T5, half of it was T4, a little bit more in the T4 range, but maybe like 20,000 more. And this is what I'm getting back. I believe this is around 5 million power of troops back. This is the resources spent. 17.5 billion resources, which is by far the most resources I've ever spent in a KvK. I believe it was previously 7 billion in my last KvK, maybe even less, maybe more, like 9 billion. So insane increase in resources. This is the resource I will be getting back. And then last but not least, this is our kingdom deaths, almost 200 million kingdom deaths, which is actually very respectable. Mostly T5, and that is about it for the Hall of Heroes. Let's take a look at the War Conquest, where you can see the enemy elimination. I placed about 60th with 164 million KP gained. Not bad, not good. If you keep in mind that I spent $20 in Crystal Tech, this is actually pretty impressive in my opinion, but obviously I wanted to do better than that. Look at the Expedition Leaderboard, and the Autarch, I ended 67th, and for deaths I was 251st, and healing I was 105th. So I traded slightly positive from the kills to heal. I believe I traded 121% if you look at the website. Piano Guider went absolutely crazy and ended in 2nd place, and I think for Fire Camp we'll actually get 4 Autarchs, which is not great, but not bad, honestly. I wish I got an Autarch, but obviously don't always get what you want, and we'll go again next KvK. Now let's talk about our marches. Now, a lot of you guys are curious about which march did the best, and a lot of people were hopping into my live stream and asking which one of my marches was performing the best. And if I had to pick one, it would be my Arthur Achilles. Obviously, I did not have this march in Zone 6, and we got it just before Pass 7 opened. So I think if it went actually crazy, Achilles ended up getting 7.2 million kills, which is awesome. Second best would probably go by Luce, obviously, and then the third best would be the QSA Suzuki Leon. Now, this was a kind of budget march that I kind of threw together right before past 7 to try to get some extra KP, and I think it actually worked. Definitely got some millions and millions of KP from this. Nothing crazy though. If you guys were watching my live stream, you might have seen my reports in Kingston were actually quite disappointing. We lost majority of ball fights, and it was kind of hard to trade well. And I ended up resorting to cheeseburgering near the end with my Luce Alex, which is honestly one of my favorite marches in the game for cheeseburgering. It's so good, but sometimes it's bad. But when I scroll all the way down, you can see some of the reports I got. This was probably one of my better ones. I think it broke 2 million kill points in one time. So these are some of the better ones. But if you look on average, I probably trade about even or slightly negative on all my reports. Some of them I go back early. As you see, I have 270,000 troops remaining, and I would do that to try to conserve resources. But it ended up not being too helpful because the KvK was so short. And then I realized KvK was ending, so I started running my marches down. And I would trade it pretty badly on a lot of my reports, slightly positive or slightly negative on most of them. And that was about how Kingsland was going for the most part. Now, I do want to give a huge shout out to our allies in Earth Camp. This was a super fun KvK, even though we lost. Super fun KvK. Shout out to our enemies in Water and Wind Camp for having a fun KvK as well. I think everyone was a pretty good sport. There are some people who were trash talking a little bit too much in my YouTube chat. But overall, I feel like it was a pretty fun KvK, pretty respectable, and I think everyone had fun, I'm not gonna lie. Even with the short amount Kingsland, past 7 was a blast, Zone 6 was a blast, we had a little invasion in Zone 6 again, Ultras were fun. I think this was a positive KvK all around. Although we did lose, we did get a lot of good fights, and it's definitely a KvK to remember. I would say, out of all the KvKs I've ever played, this ranks number 2 as my second favorite KvK, only behind KvK 1. Now, you might be wondering, what is my record now after this KvK? So this KvK is my 6th KvK I've ever fought in, and I am currently 2 wins and 4 losses. Yep, 2 wins, 4 losses. Pretty terrible, I'm not gonna lie. We have a 30% win rate right now. Am I cursed? Maybe. I hope not, but hey, we'll see next KvK when we tackle KvK 4 again. Yes, I'll be migrating back and playing KvK 4 again. More news on that coming up in a future video. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this KvK arc. A lot of people showed up for the live stream. I appreciate you guys for watching the live stream. I appreciate all the people who gifted me some super chats, all the people who gave me some members, who became a new member during this KvK. A lot of new members during this KvK. So thank you guys all for watching my videos and liking them and showing support. Honestly, you guys make me want to continue making YouTube videos. YouTube videos are so much more fun to make when people like watching them. So I really appreciate you guys watching them. And I'll have some more news on my account and what's going to happen next in a future video. Stay tuned. Anyways, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!